What's going on, everybody? My name is Armand Saavedra. I am a co-creator here at OceanX, and today we're going to be going over an in-depth review on how we actually shot one of our most recent videos called Dreamworld. So for the opening shot of this video, we have a cinematic pullback of Poe sleeping on the bed. And to capture this shot, essentially what I did was stand directly on top of him, laying on a bed, with my electronic stabilizer. I use a Zhiyun crane with my Canon DSLR, and then I just slowly pulled backwards with my stabilizer ever so gently until to get that very cinematic motion in the camera, and it worked out pretty nicely. Now for this next shot, I kind of did a very similar thing, but instead of standing on top of him with my stabilizer, I stood to the side of him, and I kind of just did the same pullback motion with my crane, and it got the same cinematic look.
So how we went about doing this rotating headshot is we actually did it with the Zhiyun crane, and Armand just panned forward into my head, and I actually had the app on my phone where I can make it rotate the actual 3-axis gimbal. So as he was panning forward, I was rotating on my phone out of scene to make the camera rotate and make it look like we were twisting the image.
So for this next shot, we used the rotating camera shot and then transitioned it into some stock footage we got from Storyblocks. This is not an ad. We actually use Storyblocks as stock footage in our videos to transition and just fill in pieces where we don't really know how to do the motion graphics or do the certain effect in After Effects. So we'll just go to Storyblocks and download some stock footage. We'll drop the link in the description if you guys are interested in Storyblocks.
So when we originally put this cloud shot into Dreamworld, it was pretty dull, and although it really looked good in the original form, we thought a way to spice it up was to put lightning in the clouds. So the way that we went about this is to just get a lightning effect or a plugin that we downloaded from the internet and mask it to the clouds to make it look like it was under the clouds. So it would just be flashes of light rather than like the actual streaks of lightning.
So for this next drone shot, it was actually pretty easy to film. I simply got my drone and flew it down a road, right down the middle of the road, pretty slowly, forward moving drone shot. And then in post, I actually reversed the speed of it, and then we added some effects on top of that.
The effects that we added were some RGB layering over the entire image to make it look like it had a dreamy effect to it. So all the colors were a little displaced. And then we added these little orbs of light floating in the image in 3D space to just make it look like there was some kind of dream state going on.
So for this next drone shot, I actually did a tutorial on this. It's actually really simple. You need to get your drone and then slowly fly upwards as you're moving forward, and then you can achieve this effect that kind of just reveals the horizon as you move forward. It's pretty cool.
Probably one of my favorite clips in this entire film is this planet shot. Beforehand, I talked to Armand about putting some sort of clip with planets in it because I saw this effect when I was surfing around YouTube, and I was like, I want to put planets in the sky too. So I went up to Armand and I told him that, hey, can you get this drone clip of the drone just flying straight up in the air, and I can't have any clouds in it because clouds will just mess up the entire effect because you have clouds going straight through your planet, so it'll just make it look artificial. And he pulled it off, and it ended up being that final product.
So for this next shot, we were in downtown Lansing, and this is right around Christmas time, and we brought the Zhiyun crane out, and I was just taking some B-roll footages of Poe walking forward towards the tree, and then I simply got the crane and then moved around him while keeping him in the center of frame, and then I kind of rotated around him while just trying to keep it as smooth as possible, walking heel to toe around him, try to get that cinematic look.
So now that we're entering the happy moments montage, I'm going to explain how we went about filming that. So at just family get-togethers and holidays, Thanksgiving rolls around this time, We had some new puppies and just some candid moments that we wanted to capture. So we just had our cameras and we just started pointing and shooting just random moments, and they turned out to be the bulk of this montage. Most of these shots were just freehand. We just wanted to really have it available where we didn't have our stabilizers. You know, we wanted to just have our cameras ready to go at any moment to just really create that feel of these candid, happy moments. So for this clip of my friend Holly laughing, there was actually a pretty extensive process in getting this clip and getting the sound effect that went with this clip. This is a pre-recorded clip that I was actually supposed to put in another video that's on our channel, the bowling video. But I didn't use it. So I had an idea of using it in this video because it was a pretty good candid moment. And when we put it in, it was pretty dull and we were looking for a sound effect to put with it. So I went into my Snapchat because I have a lot of Snapchats of Holly laughing. And I pulled the video of her having the same sort of laugh that she has in this video. And I pulled the sound effect from it and put it in Dreamworld and under this clip. So the actual laugh in this clip is her real laugh.
Now, this next shot was actually kind of an interview style shot that we did at the Capitol building. And what we did for this is just brought out our tripod and put it right next to the Christmas tree where we could get the best lighting at nighttime. And then we put a lot of distance between the subject, Poe, and the background, which is the Capitol building. This is how you get a lot of that blurry background or bokeh effect, and it makes it look really nice, really professional. So this next shot with Poe pushing back the camera into a hyperwarp was actually one of the hardest shots of the whole video, mostly because I had to go in the middle of the street with my camera and stabilizer while keeping him in the center of frame. So for this shot, what I actually did was started far away from him, and then I walked towards him, towards the Christmas tree, keeping him perfectly in center, and then when I got close to him, he kind of went back with his hand, and then in post I reversed the footage, make it look like he pushed back the camera.
Alright, so the highlight of this video is the cinematic sequence, and how we went about filming this is a very extensive process, but not as hard as you think to do. So when you're out shooting, how we got this is basically every shot that we did, we had it going the same direction. We had the camera moving with the gimbal in the same direction. We would pan from one side and then pan all the way to the other side. And when you do this with multiple clips going the same direction, they end up, when you speed ramp them in post, they end up looking really smooth and really fluid. That's how you create that fluid feeling in your edits. You can't just put different clips with the camera moving at different sides and then expect it to look really good. You have to make it fluid for it going side to side, going up and down. That's how I really created the bulk of this cinematic sequence, and it turned out really well. Okay, so the transition from this forest rotating shot into the shot of Armand at the Capitol was done by using a transition pack that we use called Hanley Seamless Transitions. Basically, we used a particle transition that rotated with the footage, because with the gimbal, I rotated in the forest moving backwards to the left, and then the particle transition moved down to the left. So it really strung the two clips together well, because they are really different looking, because one's during the day and then one's transition to the night. So I wanted to find some kind of smooth transition I could use to make it look cool and make them kind of connect better, because just using that with speed ramping wouldn't really have that same effect. So there's a cool story behind this cloud rotation shot. I was actually looking outside the window and I saw a lot of clouds in the sky, and they were moving pretty fast. So I thought this would be a really cool little time lapse. So I set my camera up on the tripod and just shot multiple different pictures. And I have this time lapse app on my camera, and I shot at 32 pictures a second, and I just put it there for half an hour, and it ended up capturing this really cool time lapse. And then in post, I just rotated it a little bit, and it ended up looking really cool in the final product. So for this moving statue shot, I took the Zhiyun crane out to this random statue that was in this field, and I had both hands on the gimbal, and I just slowly moved all the way around the statue. And at certain points, I moved in and moved out to just capture different parts of the statue, and that's how you kind of get that jittery feel of it kind of moving in and out. And when I took it to post, I just speed ramped it, and it really made that effect pop. And then we just applied the color grade and Magic Bullet looks and added a lens flare to just add some pop into it. And that's how we made this shot.
So for this underpass shot, we started on the road moving forward towards the underpass, and the closer I got to it, I panned the Zhiyun crane upward, and I tried to keep the underpass in the center frame so it wasn't moving around all over the place, and when I sped it up in post, it looked pretty smooth. So for this shot, when we zoom into the lens, I actually saw the reflection of the Christmas lights in the camera lens, and I just thought that was reminiscent to a universe or a galaxy. So I just thought it would be the craziest idea if we actually zoomed inside of the lens into a universe, knowing that we could get some more clips from story blocks in post and kind of just stitch it together to make it look like we're zooming through the lens and then going into space. And it turned out to look really sick, and it wasn't that hard to shoot. We actually just pointed the lens towards the light, the camera lights, and then got the other camera and kind of just slowly moved forward into the lens until we got the right shot, and it looked really nice. So this final shot where Poe opens his eyes and there's some rotation was actually one of the hardest shots to do of the whole video, just because there's some camera rotation and it stops exactly at the perfect time he opens his eyes and reveals the universe inside of his eyes. And to do this shot, it was somewhat difficult. So we set up a black backdrop behind him, and then we set up a couple lights so we could get a nice reflection source in his eye. And then we tracked the light source in his eye so we could create a mask of a universe inside of his eyeballs. Sounds pretty complicated. It is a little bit complicated. I could do more in-depth review if you guys are interested in how I actually shot that scene. Leave a comment if you guys are interested. So the overall process of Dreamworld took about 2 to 3 months in total, from the beginning of just the ideas to going to a trailer and then all the way to a final product. We had to go and reshoot several times just because the shot didn't look how we wanted in post. So make sure to always go back and do your best work, and if it's not where you want it to be, you can always just go back and shoot it and just get it right another time.
And that's one of the key takeaways that we have from Dreamworld is, if you don't have a finished product, if you don't feel like you're completely done and your vision is not what you want it to be, take your time. It's your video, it's your creation. You don't have to feel pressured by anyone to get it out at a certain time. When it's finished, it's finished. If you need to reshoot, you need to reshoot. If you need to re-edit, you need to re-edit. And we just wanted to make sure that we took our time with this project. And even at the cost of not posting for a while, we wanted to really have the best product possible that we could create for you guys. All right, guys, and that is our in-depth behind the scenes of how we shot and filmed Dreamworld. This whole video was different and really fun to make. It's definitely something that is going to be different on our channel. And if you guys enjoyed and want to see more of how we make our videos, just drop a comment, drop a like, and hit that subscribe button, and make sure you hit that bell to get our notifications. Thank you guys. Enjoy the wave.